They say that blood is thicker than water. From the moment we are born, we are taught a singular, universal truth. Family is everything. It is our foundation, our safety net, and the one bond that is supposed to be unbreakable. But what happens when that bond becomes the very thing that breaks you? Right now, across America and the world, there is a silent epidemic. It's happening in millions of households, yet it remains one of society's last great taboos. Adult children are making the agonizing decision to cut ties with their parents. Siblings are drifting into silence.
Damn, that bit. Oh, you gotta load a little bit. You gotta load a little bit. Hold on, y'all, boy. That bit lagging. That bit lagging.
It is called family estrangement. To the outside world, it looks like a sudden act of rebellion, a child being ungrateful, a parent being abandoned. But if you look closer, behind the silence, there is rarely a simple story of anger. Instead, there is a profound, complex psychology of survival. Why do people actually do it? Is it an impulsive decision, or is it a desperate measure to preserve one's own sanity? In this video, we are diving deep into the psychology of family estrangement. We will debunk the myth of the sudden break, explore the cumulative trauma that forces a person to walk away, and analyze the toxic dynamics from emotional neglect to narcissistic control that make no contact the only viable option. If you are struggling with guilt, or trying to understand why someone you love has walked away, this is the explanation you've been looking for. This is the truth behind the silence. Let's begin. Estrangement almost never begins with a dramatic explosion. It begins with erosion, slow, quiet, almost invisible to everyone except the person living through it. For years, even decades, the relationship looks normal from the outside. Birthdays are celebrated, holidays are endured, smiles appear in photos, but beneath the surface, something is wearing down layer by layer, not because of one catastrophic event, but because of hundreds of small ones that accumulate like sediment at the bottom of a river. Psychologists call this microtrauma, the subtle criticism disguised as concern, the boundary that gets pushed just a little further each year, the dismissive tone that tells you your feelings don't matter, the constant pressure to be who they want you to be, not who you are. Individually, these moments seem minor. Together, they become a psychological climate, and over time, your body begins to respond before your mind does. You tense before the phone rings. You rehearse conversations before family gatherings. You shrink parts of yourself to keep the peace. What you once called family dynamics becomes chronic anxiety woven into your daily life. This is the erosion most people never see. Estrangement doesn't happen because someone suddenly stops caring. It happens because they have gradually run out of capacity, out of energy, out of hope, out of space to keep absorbing the same wounds. Before the break comes the exhaustion, and before the exhaustion comes years of being slowly worn down. This is the true beginning of estrangement, not anger, but depletion. From the outside, estrangement often looks abrupt, like someone woke up one morning, got angry, and decided to disappear. Parents describe it as out of nowhere. Friends say, "But everything seemed fine." But that's the illusion of the volcano effect. A volcanic eruption looks sudden only to those who weren't paying attention to the pressure building beneath the surface. Lava doesn't appear overnight. It forms quietly, silently, over years. The mountain holds it in until it can't. Family estrangement works exactly the same way. The final argument, the holiday meltdown, the hurtful comment, those are never the true cause. They're simply the moment the internal pressure becomes unbearable. The final trigger in a long chain of ignored boundaries, invalidated emotions, and unresolved pain. To the parent, it feels like, "You cut me off because of this." But to the adult child, it sounds like, "No, I'm stepping away because this has happened for 20 years. The The break looks sudden only because the suffering was silent. Estrangement is rarely a reaction. It is a culmination, a release of years of pressure
Yo, I'm doing
that
one more
can no
video.
longer be contained. And once the volcano erupts, everything changes. Long before someone chooses distance, many have already been cast into roles they never agreed to play. In dysfunctional or narcissistic family systems, identity is not discovered, it is assigned. And those assignments shape a child's entire emotional reality. There is the golden child, the extension of the parent's ego, praised, protected, idealized. Their purpose is to fulfill the family's narrative of success, even if it means sacrificing authenticity. Then there is the scapegoat, the one blamed for tension they didn't create. The truth teller, the emotionally aware member who refuses to accept the family's dysfunction as normal. Ironically, the scapegoat is often the healthiest one, but also the first to be pushed out when they stop absorbing everyone else's shame. But these aren't the only roles. There is the invisible child, who survives by disappearing, keeping quiet, needing little, and learning that attention is dangerous. They grow up skilled at self-reliance, but chronically unsure if they deserve to exist loudly. And then, perhaps the heaviest role of all, the parentified child. The child who becomes the emotional caretaker for their own parents. The mediator, the peacekeeper, the one who carries responsibilities far too heavy for their age. These children grow up believing love must be earned through service, sacrifice, and silence. None of these roles allow a child to develop a true self. They create patterns of guilt, obligation, and emotional suppression that follow a person well into adulthood. And when someone finally steps out of the role, when they try to become a whole human instead of a family function, the system reacts. It resists. It blames. It punishes. Because, in families like these, the moment you reclaim yourself is the moment you become a threat. For many, estrangement isn't about leaving the family. It's about escaping the role that was breaking them. Some wounds.
That's some really informative stuff right there.